First World War, ladies and gentlemen, is images and numbers to us. Poppies, mud, barbed wire, and the sheer scale that none of us really grasp. We clutch at the numbers, trying to understand just how vast this horror was. 70 million soldiers fought in the First World War. Some 10 million of them were killed. Another 7 million civilians were killed during the fighting. We try to understand those numbers, but they are abstracts. If we take the British soldiers who were killed and wounded on the first day of the Somme battle in 1916, it would take a fat novel, a book the size of a fat novel, just to write their names. It's a scale that we clutch at. I was asked to talk about the causes, the outbreak of the First World War. And I confess, I feel like I'm in one of those nightmares I have occasionally where I'm 18 again, and I've got the final exam, and I haven't revised, and I've still got to talk about the course of the First World War. One of the challenges of that is that, again, it tends to generalisations. And we try to understand what these generalisations and these big theories and these phrases really mean. In the decades leading up to 1914, Europe had changed, and the way that Europe worked had changed. A continent which used to come together, used to work together to solve tension. Classically, when one power got too big, the other powers ganged up on it and put it in its place again, and at the end they all had a big conference and sorted things out. That had changed, and it had been replaced by a Europe of insecurity and rivalry. And in the decades leading up to 1914, that insecurity and that rivalry had increased, been ratcheted up, and a series of incidents and provocations had increased the insecurities, the paranoia of the great powers of Europe. And from being a Europe which worked in concert to solve its problems, Europe became two rival alliances. This was new, this system of alliances facing each other to try to defend themselves. And a series of misunderstandings and provocations and little spats in North Africa, in Alsace-Lorraine, in the Balkans, which, as Barbara said, is a part of the world that I know, and in the Middle East, contributed to the further ratcheting up of this tension and the insecurity of all of the powers and their sense of rivalry. And they exported their competition to the Middle East, to Africa, to South Asia. And still the tension increased, and we think of a machine or a mechanism or a spring being wound tighter and tighter up to the point where, if the restraint on that is removed just for a moment, the whole thing explodes. On the 28th of June 1914, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire is assassinated in Sarajevo by Serb nationalists who are protesting at the treatment of Serbs inside a province in the Balkans that Austria has annexed.